I need to ask you a question. Be curious, drifters.
Amelia's duel hits the front. Immature is coming right away for Damien Oliver.
Bella Nipotina, and boy, doesn't she deserve this.
The Giga Kick's got a strong kick.
Golden Mile, soar out the mile. I'm thunderstruck over the top. Mr. Brightside has won the mile.
And Militarised blows them away in the Champagne Stakes. And she's a class act, pulling right away Prowess. And Zoo Gotcha won it by 2.5.
Zaki joined by Animo, who looks destiny in the face.
It's a nice hat you got on there.
Yeah, Guinness.
Yeah.
I'm a big Guinness guy.
You are a big Guinness guy.
Do you know who else is just a big guy in general?
Chad
Townsend. So he says it so often that he might just be a guy.
He might be a guy
who just likes a lot of things.
He's a big vanilla guy, I reckon.
I reckon the only thing that he didn't make reference to in that video, if you know what we're talking about, drifters, you'll know what we're talking about. If you don't, then I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to explain it. I think he's probably just a big existence guy, big oxygen guy. Yeah, I'm a big sleep guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's such a big guy about everything that it's like, well,
I'm a big water guy.
Massive, enormous water guy. Big rugby league guy.
I'm a big antioxidant guy.
Big protein guy. Yeah. No, yeah, Guinness. Look, I'll be heading over to Dublin/Ireland probably late July next year, I'd say.
Ish.
Yeah.
So probably miss the Tats Tiara again. Just
missing.
making it a tradition on this podcast.
Not missing much. Let's be honest.
I think I might be over there with you for around that time.
Yeah.
Just on separate holidays, but we might do a little Ascot soiree if they're running.
Potentially.
We'll see what happens.
Imagine the two of us in a three-piece suit and a top hat.
It just makes sense, I think.
What if we got it completely orange in Ned's theme? Hello?
Might have to bring that up at our lunch over the next couple of weeks.
Might have to.
That is a great shout.
It'd be absolutely outrageous, wouldn't it?
I'll wear it.
Yeah, well, look, who are we trying to impress?
Ourselves. That's all we need.
Like, I'm married and you're on that path.
Yes.
So, who are we trying to impress?
4 months away. Comes up quick.
Yeah, it'll come up very quick. Very, very quick. March the 25th?
Yeah.
March 25th.
Yeah, Monday wedding. Who would have thought?
Not me.
Yeah.
It works.
Well, I'll have to take all the podcasting gear up there. Have to do a honeymoon podcast. Just what the bride will want.
Yeah. Hey, you know what it is? There's like, when you're trying to fry fish up, there's a certain order that they come in, right? And the biggest one goes first. You can have a bigger fish to fry, and that's the podcast.
Yep.
Probably the most important single thing in your life that week.
I think so.
It's horse racing.
Yeah.
What's off the top of your head, Group 1 on around that week? Is Slipper a week after maybe?
Yeah, no. Slipper would be the week before. I reckon it would be Galaxy weekend, I reckon. So it's like the second weekend at Rose Hill before the championships, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Plenty to look forward to. I feel like there's not going to be much of a gap between the end of this Perth Carnival and when autumn,
I reckon,
hits us in the face.
Well, we may as well just go from Magic Millions right the way through, right? Unless we have like a couple of weeks here and there, but...
Well, all we need to do is give the people what they want.
I know.
And that's what the people want.
I know.
For some reason.
Unbeknownst
to me.
Or me. Because, believe it or not, drifters, we say this every year, we don't know our Perth form that well. We have someone employed to kind of look after that, the Perth Prince.
And look, your boy may have discreetly sent a message to a person who has direct access to the Perth Prince, just asking, hey, look, would your royal friends have a good grasp on how the Ascot track plays when it's hard, hot and fast?
I have a feeling it's going to be extremely leaderish on the day.
He may have said something along the lines of, in the speaking to the Prince in his decades and decades and decades of experience in analysing Ascot form. You really want to be sitting in the first third. And if something runs on and beats you, so be it.
So be it.
So be it. So I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny you say that. They've pushed their card back as well. So
they've officially done that?
Starts at 2 p.m. So that's like 5 p.m. our time. And it'd be 6 p.m. down south.
Shit.
Yeah. So, mate, the feature of the railway, I'm going to have to watch it Sunday morning. Because it runs at...
This is me and you watching the railway.
It runs at 9:09. Who's watching that?
Mate, I'll be in the coffin by then. I'll be fast asleep.
So, yeah, 40-degree days all week. Crazy stuff. So,
hectic.
If you've got any wet trackers, give them a very, very wide berth. But before we get into the railway, something I texted you about, but top 3 horses of the spring. Let's have a little chat about that because I reckon we could officially call this the Summer Carnival.
Yeah. So top 3 horses or runs specifically?
I reckon if you either or.
Well, I feel like the top 3 horses is really, really easy, but really easy. Well, top of the tree for me is Imperatrice.
Okay.
She's top of the tree. She's our best sprinter. I think she's established that. Remarkably consistent spring. Early on, you could say, who was she beating up on? Well, she gave Giga Kick Winburn first up. And then end of the prep, the champion sprint, she fair and square beat In Secret. And buenos noches. So she's numero uno for me. And then close second is without a fight.
Yeah.
Close second.
Yep.
Like his Caulfield Cup win was fantastic without being like, holy shit. It was just a really good win.
Yep.
Whereas his Melbourne Cup win was, holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. What could he win?
Yeah, the chat is from the camp Australia Cup.
First up.
In the autumn. He can win that. I'd love to see him at a Tancred. Wait for age, 2,400 metres. Put them to the sword.
I think the thing that they always say is we'll stay in Melbourne because the weather will probably be fine. There's always the Easter around that period.
The monsoon
season up down in Sydney. So, yeah, that's probably why. But, mate, if he rolls around there, please. Please.
Yeah. I would imagine that he'd be very hard to beat. Anything over 2,000 metres plus without a fight.
That's a good insight.
Yeah.
And what about the third one?
I think you have to give it to Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
Second in the Cox Plate, second in the Champions Mile. Maccabi Diva Stakes win was one of the most dominant of the spring, I think. Just said to Alligator Blood, catch a bruh. And Alligator Blood obviously came out and won 2 more Group 1s, I'm pretty sure. So they're the top 3 for me.
Yeah, so Mr. Brightside won a Group 2, 2 Group 1s, and then placed in 3 more Group 1s, running second. Cox Plate, Champions Mile, and the King Charles. I think Fangirl's King Charles win might be the most impressive win of the spring.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
It was dominant.
Yeah, it was dominant. She wasn't the horse of the spring, but that was top 3 wins of the spring. I think that without a fight's Melbourne Cup win. Yep. And then Imperatrice's, not her Manicato, like her Manicato was visually really impressive, but I think her Champions sprint win had more merit because I think she did it the hard way.
I even reckon her first up win, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that, and even the second up win, she only beat Pride of Jenny, but look at that form now.
Fuck.
Like she's probably at first emergency, Pride of Jenny, for performance of the spring.
Yeah, but I just can't.
Yeah. If I'm having like a top 5, she probably sneaks in with something like a Think About It, I'd say. Because Think About It peaked on the day with the perfect run, but he still beat our best sprinter.
Yeah, I think so. Another one in the conversation I would say is Militariser's Golden Rose win. How did he win that race?
Yeah, sensational.
How did he do it? From the clouds.
That was good. Forgot about that.
Yeah, nothing else really springs out at me. Off the top of my noggin. Magic Time was bloody good last week.
She was.
She didn't really beat up on much though.
I think that's the thing. I think we'll look back, and I do this a bit when I look back at, say, all right, who won the Gong last year? And then I'll have a look at the field or whatever. And typically, or if I look through a horse's profile, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, won this race. And then I look at the field, I'm like, it should have won that race.
Yeah.
Magic Time should have won that race.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. From a listener, Craig Burrows on the YouTube channel. So, boys, have a question for you. You have the best miler in the country, but it can't get 2,000 meters. So I'm thinking of a Mr. Brightside, right?
Yeah.
Ish. Come spring, post his 3-year-old season. What's its target race once handicapped out of handicapped races? I ask because I think there is a big prize money, prestigious Group 1 missing in the spring for such horses. One recent example would be Who Begot You. So that was back in 2005.
Shit.
There is the Champions Mile on the last day, but not huge prize money, $3 million. Or prestige like the Cox Plate. If Australian breeding is going to move beyond sprinters, I think we need to aim to breed great milers, then move to middle distance breeding. Thoughts? I think, well, now there's two options. You have the King Charles, $5 million purse, and the Champions Mile.
So he's
at weight for age.
So that was a lot of information for your boy to digest. So he's saying that we've got like a Cox Plate, which is a prestigious 2,000 meter race. Where's the mile race?
Yeah.
To match it. And then he spoke about 3-year-olds.
Yeah, so once they're, say, post their 3-year-old season, once they're handicapped out of the big Group 1s. So you basically have a winner of a 1,600 metre or further, say a militarised, right? So they've won a 1,600 metre Group 1 as a 2-year-old. They're probably going to be handicapped when they're out of their 3-year-old season against open age. They're probably not going to be as well weighted in, say, like a Doncaster or an Epsom. So they have to go into those weight for age contests.
Yeah.
We've got the Champions Mile and we've got the King Charles.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess like the Champions Mile this year, it's a good field. I think you said it wasn't a great field. Just because of the size of it was a bit small.
Yeah. I don't know. So to his point on breeding, I don't think Australia's strength is ever going to be breeding strong middle distance horses. Like we have them come up every so often, like a Winx, like a Very Elegant. She's probably a stayer in a middle distance horse's clothing. Animo, obviously, and there's a hell of a lot of New Zealand bred horses that come over here and do a really good job in that middle distance. But like, we're so good at producing sprinters.
Yeah.
Like you could take everyone who lined up in the Everest, every single horse, you take them overseas, they're competing against each other in all the Group 1 races.
Yeah.
With the occasional European or the occasional Japanese or whatever, American, whatever horse jumping in. But the field's mostly ours if we're competing at an international level from a sprinting perspective. So, and that's, our sprinting ranks are so good as well because of the emphasis we put on 2-year-olds. And that's the lifeblood of our industry, right? So I don't think we need to be too concerned about producing these milers and middle distance horses because it's just not our strength, and that's not where the big money is, and I don't think it's going to change. Like we still have like size like your So You Thinks, who is obviously an elite middle distance horse producing the tough old geldings that we love. Animo is going to be producing things that could probably win it too, and then go on and win mile races and middle distance races. So I don't think we need to be focused on that, and therefore I don't think we'll ever have the mile race that old mate's sort of talking about.
I think those sires kind of take care of themselves. I think it's more on the duty of the trainer to kind of recognize that. It's like, for the better of the industry, let's get this horse, like, you know, as a 7-time Group 1 winner over the mile or further, like an Animo, right? And because people far more educated than us, like a Mick Sharkey, for instance, is like, he is the most exciting and important breeding sire prospect our country has seen for
Who Animo?
probably since So You Think.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like something that is that like, and you know, Animos don't come around all that often, but Militarize is probably on a similar path, not the exact same path. So it's like, I think it's important to see that horse as a 4-year-old, you know?
I agree. Yeah, it was so important for Animo to go around as a 4-year-old. Yeah, and Militarize is the exact same thing. It's a horse that can be so good at 2 and come out and win Group 1 races as a 3-year-old, and then hopefully as a 4-year-old. Yeah, it is really important to our breeding industry. So yeah, I see where he's going with it, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting point of discussion.
And from our...
It's so cluttered, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
our Group 1 racing and the handicaps and
Yep.
weight for age and how many we have and targets and now the pop-up races. It feels cluttered.
The sire I'm most fascinated to see how his progeny go is Fierce Impact. He's the one that I'm just, because he's royally bred out of Deep Impact. He's a Japanese horse that could get through the wet. He could do it on the dry. He's a 2-3 time Group 1 winner at the mile. Like he is just such a fascinating prospect, and you know, I think our mile ranks of breeding are okay. I reckon because you see the Europeans come over here, they target they're fresh off the boat, but they're targeting a golden eagle when they come here, and they're not quick enough. They aren't. We're quicker over the mile.
We are. And you've got to remember as well, like every spring, every autumn, we have a mile guineas.
Yeah.
Grunt.
That's
one of them.
That's something I think we do need to change.
Haitotsu.
In the autumn, they need to change the Group 1s over the mile so they're different days.
Yeah.
The Randwick Guineas and the Australian Guineas. It makes zero sense.
Yeah. And the Rose Hill Guineas is over 2,000 metres. We've got two over the mile. Yeah, it makes no sense. But, you know, the Caulfield Guineas is a very important race from a breeding perspective for us.
Yeah.
And that's a mile race, you know, and I think sometimes that's won by a horse that's better as a sprinter, and sometimes it's won by a horse who's better over further.
And you were making this point either on mic or off mic the other week about the Cox Plate as a breeding race.
It's arguably our most important.
Seamus Ward, So You Think, Animo now, you know, as 3 examples off the top of the dome. Obviously, Winks put a dent in that for 4 years. But, like, I think before Romantic Warrior, who won it last year? Animo. So, before Romantic Warrior, it was a wide berth for Geldings to win it.
Yeah.
Like, so Dragonet Entire, Animo, obviously.
State of Rest.
Yep, State of Rest. So, I think that, you know, the elite Entires, they really do target that as well. So, but this year, you know, first 3 past the post were Geldings.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The only one was Militarize, where you're like, this is a live chance with his nuts still. Like King Colorado, obviously, was still in the race. He has his nuts, but I'd love to see. I don't think we will, but I'd love to see Militarize go for a Cox Plate as a 4-year-old. And the reason why I don't think he will is because he's got 2 Group 1s as a 2-year-old, and then he's got the Golden Rose, which is a really important breeding race as well. And then if he comes back in the autumn as a 3-year-old and puts him away in a Rose Hill Guineas, I just don't think you'll see him as a 4-year-old.
Yeah. So you reckon they'll go the autumn sun path? Yep.
I think so with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yep.
I know. I liked that.
Yeah, well, it's good because, you know, like now we're talking about WA racing.
All right, Perth Prince has just texted me through his thoughts, so I'm gonna take it off him. But Railway Stakes Group 1 handicap mile. Now, you have the Eastern Raider of Roots head over. Now, if this was a mare's race, I think she'd be the clear on top pick, but she's drawn barrier 15 as well.
Yeah, I know. I think I probably joked on the podcast like last week or the week before. I was like, well, I already know my Railway Stakes bet is. After she put them away, spanked him. in the hot Danish.
After failing second up in the invitation. But
Yeah.
the invitation form is holding up.
It is. Oh, that gate, mate.
It stinks, doesn't it?
It just,
And
stinks.
after our Intel 38-degree day,
Hence the
first third.
Hence the quick, discreet little. Hey, look. I'm an expert, so I don't typically come to anyone for any advice when it comes to horse racing. But a quick, discreet text to the Prince via one of the friends of the podcast. If she wins, so be it. I've got to take her on though, just because of the gate. Because where's she going to get to, mate?
Oh, mate, she's a backmarker anyway.
Yeah, and like Tommy Berry does it go Tommy Berry or does it go Hallelujah? You know what I mean? Like Tommy, where's he going to get her? He's a great jock, and if anyone can actually be a bit aggressive, get her into a midfield position with some cover. By some miracle out of gate 15, it's someone like a Tommy Berry.
Absolutely. But
I'm not going chips in, and that's going to happen.
No.
And the horse that's a proven Group 1 performer, he's probably like a top of the tree Group 2 type horse over here, is Tuvalu.
Yeah.
And he's drawn perfectly. Like, yeah, he's the top weight, but it's a pretty condensed field, and he's clearly the one with the form coming into this race. J Car on, like, where he's going to be. He's going to run out a strong mile. Like, he's the one out of all the ones who are going to be sitting in the first third, even if they go a decent clip, which I don't think they will, he's the one I know can absorb the pressure and still kick away and probably hold on. So he's my top selection, Tuvalu. He's definitely not one of mine, but I've got nothing against the horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing against him. So
he's burnt me once or twice.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually backed him.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, I backed him in the race that Jack No won, the CF4. And then he was off for about a year, but he's back now.
Yeah, he's back. He's been in good form. Like, the third to Prowess Antino by a head.
That form's a bit icky.
A little bit questionable.
Bit icky.
The second to Alligator Blood in the Underwood. The third to Pinstriped and Attrition in the Fian. Fourth to Mr. Brightside Pinstriped and Aegon in the PB Lawrence. Like, that's
Targaryen, if you're wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Aegon Targaryen. Aegon Targaryen. Oh, man.
All right.
Anyway, so he's the one for me. Roots, wouldn't be surprised if she won, but I've got to take her on. Alsafina, the local horse. Now, she's one who's drawn well. This is a target race. She's down in the weights. Wouldn't shock.
Who's this W Pike on her back? He's pretty progressive, isn't he?
Look, he's there's been whispers from Western Australia that he's a real up and comer. W Pike, and forgot you, lol. Only reason why it's in this race, funnily enough, I was reading an article this week. Natalie Young, she was like, it was the only plane we could get him on.
Yeah, right.
So that's why he's in this race. He's actually being targeted at Northerly. So,
okay,
that's where I'm at. And there's a lot of WA horses in here I know nothing about.
Barrier 19, I think they'll be awfully kind to that horse. 1,800 metres back to 1,600.
I think so.
But Buckets More deserves all the success that he gets.
Yep.
As well. Because he's a good boy on Muramasa.
Yep.
The WA mare you're talking about, Alsafina.
Yeah, she's good.
She's very good. Only reason why she lost last start, I believe, is the large weight. 59 kegs she had on her back. She dropped 6 kilos here, W Pike on. She ran on a day where it looked a bit leaderish to my eye.
Typical.
So, she's had 13 career starts, 9 wins.
She's very good.
3 seconds and a third. She's never been out of the trifecta, albeit this is definitely her hardest contest today. But lightweight, perfect draw, W Pike on. Easy tip for me.
Yeah, I think so. And I think she'll lob to be up closer as well. Pike knows how to play the track, you would think.
Reminds me very much of Tricks of the Trade last year.
Yeah.
And Tricks of the Trade absolutely dominated them in the railway last year. Now that horse is going nowhere near as good. Hasn't won since.
Yeah, that was well found by you. I can't even remember who I backed in that race, to be honest. But
It would have been a local,
yeah,
Cascadian or something.
definitely wasn't
Like-
Amelia's Jewel.
As in a East Coaster.
Yep.
Because I typically go with the locals in their Group 1s, but that could be to my detriment. A couple of other ones that I wanted to highlight. So the Lee Steer Stakes is one of the key lead-ups to this race, and bloody Valor Road, that horse is an old iron horse. It's been running around over there for years. Won the Lee Steers. It isn't in this race this year, but it nuzzled out Bustler, who finished 5th behind him, but was awfully unlucky. Back to the inside, didn't get out to the last 100 and absolutely zoomed home. So of those from the Lee Steer, I reckon it'll be the first home. And the other one was Dom to Shoot, who was 3 wide, no cover that entire run and still powered home to only just miss Valor Road as well. So of the two, definitely keen on Bustler over Dom to Shoot.
Bustler.
And then, Roots, next best pick.
Yeah, like she'll be there or thereabouts.
She will. Mate, you have to. After her last run, she absolutely spanked that field. Race 5. Now, I have to consult Racing Australia. Give me 1 second. This is the AJ Scarhill Cup, 2,100 metres, handicap, listed grade. I thought Casino 17 would be awfully hard to beat here. $2.20 favourite.
Yeah, I think so. There's nothing really here that maybe we'll give a side up. Number 12, Queen Alina. So she's one who does go back a little bit, and she came home like a freight train last start in the Lucky Grey Stakes to run 3rd. She's heading towards a Perth Cup, I would imagine. Chrissy Parnham on.
Yeah.
So she's $8.50 with good people at Ned's. So if you're going to have a little bit of a spec, but yeah, Casino 17 is going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, like held up for the majority of the straight, only got out, missed by a length. Yeah, easy bet, easy. Now, race 6 is the Carbine Club of WA Stakes. Now, that's a hell of a name. Carbine Club is typically the first day on Derby Day for those playing at home. So this one is for the 3-year-olds, I believe. Yep, 3-year-olds and up, actually. Listed grades, set weights and penalties. I didn't have too much of a big opinion here.
No, look, if you like the Al Safina form out of the RJ Peters Stakes, there's another horse coming out of that on the quick backup, number 2, Magnificent Andy. So it's the $3.40 favourite. Goes up in weight for this, but I thought he was sort of held up a little bit in that race, so came home. But don't have a strong opinion.
Well, I had one consulting my notes here. Billy Ray comes out of that same race as well. So on the quick backup as well, held up until the 100 and only just got out and only missed him by 2 and a bit lengths. So, and you're getting $16 versus $3.40 for Magnificent Andy. So I think that's a bet, but it's probably going to get back on a leader's day.
Toxic.
All right, race 7. I think this is the WA Guineas. Let me consult Racing Australia right now.
Sure is, mate.
It is, mate. 1,600 metres. Group 2 for the 3-year-olds. Now there's 2 sensational fillies down the bottom here. Now you have a bit of an opinion about Super Smink.
I like Super Smink. Beaten fair and square by Keshi Boom last time, but meets her at equal weights here and gave her 4 kilos last time, and draws gate 3, so I'd imagine will be nice and close in the running. But yeah, Keshi Boom's a nice horse too, and relatively untapped. But yeah, I've got an opinion of Super Smink heading towards a northerly, I would imagine. She's a good filly.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you. Keshi Boom was 3rd up last start, had the weight relief as you mentioned, and does get back in her runs as well. And I think Super Smink has proven that she can go forward. Barrier 3, she'll get the gun run.
Yep.
But Pikey is on Keshi Boom.
We are not worthy.
All right, I think that's all we have at WA, but let's venture to Kembla, your part of town, down south.
Dragons territory.
Now, race 7 on the program is the Gong, 1,600 metres. I think it's set weights, penalties, potentially a handicap actually, by the looks of these weights. Now you have the likes of Cepheus, Osipenko, Palmetto, Detonator Jack, the weak-gutted dog, and Waterford going around. Any firm opinions here?
Oh, I think they're going to call it the Chris Waller Gong, to be honest. 1,000 horse in this. No, mate, no firm opinions in this race. Like, Osipenko's a $3.40 favourite. Yeah, he's good enough to put this field away, but, you know, also a little bit of a milk drinker, I think, Osipenko.
Oh, it's the easiest race he's been in for ages.
It is.
Yeah.
So, like, he should put him away, but I'm not diving in at $3.40.
And with a bit of rain potentially around at the Gong, at Wollongong, could be a bit problematic for him. But yeah, he's been racing at the 2,000 metres last start, but that was a while ago now. When was that? The 7th of October. So he's about 6 weeks in between runs. You know, if you want to take him on, I think you could find some value here because Osipenko's your 340 favourite, and then something like Detonator Jack at $5, that does not interest me at all because 1,800 down to 1,600.
No, and Waterford's out of that same race as well, and he's another one who's sort of a get backer, and he was running on, but Detonator Jack ran on a lot better than he did. A little bit of weight relief there for Waterford compared to Detonator Jack. He's $8.50, but no, mate, there's nothing that excites me about this race. Much like the Detonator Jack race, actually, the Waterford race. Nothing that excites me.
You know what could interest me potentially? I don't think I'll venture into this territory, but if you can forgive the wide barrier, something like a Surf Dancer. I know that's a bit rogue, but in Brisbane, beat the likes of Cardinal Gem, Rip, and Dragon Leap in the BRC Sprint at about 40-1 he was that day. And back into 4th was Big King of Sparta. So that's that type of form reference. So I reckon that he would be aimed up at a race like this. And Cepheus has done absolutely nothing wrong. Just keeps carrying weight, that horse.
Do you know what's annoying? Like, Communist. Communist has won a Group 1, mate.
Yeah, I know.
How bizarre is that?
And I think Osipenko was scratched.
Yeah, he was.
He's a bit of because he had an elevated temperature that day.
Temperamental. Any other Group 1 winners in this race?
Let's have a look here. So, no. Pow, no.
No, there isn't.
No. It's a Communist, maybe he's the one. Only beaten 2 and a bit lengths in the Golden Eagle. That's not a bad shout. It's probably the best form. There you go, Communist.
$16 for the good people at Ned's.
Yeah. If you're a big duck egg guy, as in you don't like seeing duck eggs in your form, he's not your horse, but I think his form does read a bit better than that.
Draws a gate here. Like,
Rachel King in form.
yeah, like, he could be just a little sneaky.
Yeah.
You know, at that price.
I like it when you're on the cuff you find one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you can find one off the cuff in the Warra. 1,000 metre. Fillies and Mares. Handicap. Now, it's not Fillies and Mares because I'm looking at Malkovich. So, apologies. That's RaceNet's having an absolute mare right now. So 1,000 metres, 1,000 metres handicap sprint. There you go. The likes of 11-11, Cannonball, Malkovich. Malkovich is a fast horse.
He is a fast horse. I'd probably, like, if I'm going to have a spec at one at a big price, I probably would spec Cannonball.
So would I.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the same since he's been away from Sydney. And he's back in Sydney. I think he'll be...
Get a dry deck here?
Yeah, potentially.
I think he needs a dry deck.
Bit of weather around, but...
Draws well.
Like, it was a throw at the stumps taking that horse to Ascot. What were they
It was bizarre.
thinking?
Brent Pebble on.
Yep.
Yeah, he's probably the one. Even a horse like Recommendation.
Yeah. He's been good, you know. Only just missed, hard to say, last start. Big Dashing Legend, who was sensational first up, had a bit of the second up syndrome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those types of races, right? But yeah, I thought Cannonball was a nice little spec as well.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, so we've only got the winter bottom next week and then the Northerly Stakes the week after that. So
and then we'll be just shutting our eyes, having some downtime.
Chilling like a couple of villains. Winter bottom. Any of our East Coast sprinters going over to contest that?
There would be. It's usually like half the field would be like East Coast sprinters for sure. You'll probably see someone like a Bella Nipotina there, mate.
So that race has some fond memories of that race on this podcast. So
Paul Ailey.
So Valana was actually going to be my pick, remember? And he got scratched. So I had to default to the other Godolphin horse, Paul Ailey, at a big price. And he came from the clouds to put him away.
One of the best wins I've seen. It was sensational.
So yeah, fond memories.
Paul Ailey. I can't remember who my pick was in that race.
Did Rothfire run in that race?
He might have been my pick. So that's the issue with Rothfire. You never back him in a Group 1. Ever.
No.
You back him in the Group 2s, Group 3s. He runs a great race in a Group 1, but he never wins them.
No, he doesn't. And
that's fine because he's won his connections millions of money, millions of cash.
And the fact that he's still racing is a miracle.
It is. All right, we'll be back Sunday. I reckon it could be our quickest review podcast ever.
Potentially. See you, Drifters.